Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for watching. If this is your first time seeing me, or maybe you just got into one of my groups, I appreciate you being here for sure. Click on the links below. You know, that's going to take you into a Telegram or one of our chat rooms and get you connected with me. And feel free to shoot me questions at Ronin FOREX. That being said, we have an awesome group. We had some awesome trades today, and last week was great too. And I'm going to just go over some of those things that what happened with our trades, and particularly one pattern in particular, which is an inverted head and shoulders that's happening across the board, which looks like a big reversal for the euro dollar, pound dollar, oil as well, which has been super profitable. And our mantra, especially within a webinar I did in the group, I really tried to drive this point home, is buying the dips, right? So it sounds so elementary, but if you can start to do this, remember, buying dips and selling rallies, it's going to be a game changer for your trading. And especially if you can start to identify structures like what I'm about to go over right now. So stick around. I've got a couple great trades lined up, and this could be a long-term plan for you to make going into January, February, March. We start to hit these higher levels, especially if the dollar continues to break down, which it looks like it's going to do. So that being said, I'm glad you're here. Let's get right into it. So this is euro dollar. I'm going to delete these lines so to give you a more clear picture, and you can see we're still in a trade right now. Here's our entry. We're already locked in. Stop losses at break even here. Here's our take profit point for anybody that's watching this that's maybe not in my VIP group and wants to trade. It's 1.1610. If you can find a good dip here, which I don't know it's going to happen really. Now we have some divergence on the RSI here. It's the 30-minute chart. Divergent RSI, but euro is super strong right now. Dollar is really weak. So, a small dip would be a great place to find an entry if you can on this because it's going to start taking off big time. And let me just show you why, right? So here is your standard textbook head and shoulders, right? So we have our head, shoulder, shoulder. Now what I like to do is start marking out the zones, right? Zoning off the charts. That's what I like to call it. And it makes if I can break the chart down into these different zones and structures, it makes it way more manageable, because then I can really find my entries. I know where a better place to put stop losses, better place to put my take profit. So just that one trend line alone, we can see we've broken out above, right? You're in this really ugly trading range. And then this morning we broke above 1.15, and that's when I sent our trade out at about 1.1510. Now, if that one uptrend wasn't enough, we're on the other side of this downtrend line, right? So we have a nice X here. I like to look for these intersecting trend lines, a confluence as a support and resistance, and this is a great one, right? So, and on the other side of that, what are we forming here? And this is what I want to correlate with these other pairs, and why I really think that this is a significant shift in the dollar strength that's been going on. Well, it's a new year, so maybe it's a new time for what's going to be strong. It looks like it's going to be these risk on pairs, right? So I know I just drew a little on there, but this is what I'm predicting here, right? So prices, we're already right here, so maybe it'd be more like this. But you get it, right? Head, shoulder, shoulder. So now we have just your standard head and shoulders, but we have an inverted head and shoulders here, right? And my upside target for here, first of all, is 1.17. So that's a little bit less than 200 pips away. Definitely doable. And if you can make a target like that and think about, this goes back to my video last week, buying these dips, right? We get a nice dip, say, this would be an excellent entry point, because I don't think we're going to get too big unless we have a dip in the S&P tomorrow, which is very likely, which would bring in some dollar strength, but I don't think it's going to last long, because the powers that be, more than anything, a lot of trade negotiations and stuff, but they want to see that stock market get back up there. And a strong dollar is not good for that to happen. So let's take a look at pound dollar. This has been, I'm going to go into, this is a weekly chart right here. And we'll go to daily. So we had this big all the way to 1.42, right? This big climb. I remember distinctively, man, I remember like it was yesterday. But this is back in February last year, so it's almost a year ago. We have this huge double top right here, right? Or as I like to call my training, just to make it easier to remember, M formation, right? Right, so we can all see the M right there. It's pretty obvious, huh? Boom, boom, boom. And then for this double top here is the neckline, right? So that being said, we just had a monster sell-off, 1.42 all the way down to the lowest point, 1.24, right? We're on support here. Now, this is a daily chart. Looks pretty divergent here, right? So what I'm mean by that is relative strength is signaling it's getting stronger, right? While price action still is dropping and relative strength is rising. Now, that being said, even more important, when you see stuff like this on a larger time frame chart, here's a weekly chart, and we have some divergence here. Divergent. To me, this is a clear sign of upcoming reversal. Maybe it won't be that prolonged. And retesting this neckline, 1.33. Right now, okay, I drew some arrows. Sure, dude. Good job. Now let me go into a little more detail. So just like we were on EU, we haven't quite broken out yet on pound dollar. Now, what do we have coming up? I think it's on the 15th. We have a Brexit vote. Now, if that gets passed through, this is the pound is going to strengthen like crazy. But look, just like on euro dollar, we're back above this lower trend line. Now, if we break out above here, what do we have, right? So head, shoulder. It's not a beautiful one, but maybe something like down. You know, they're never perfect. Something like that. But that being said, it looks very doable. Maybe those last couple of lines. There we go. So we have head, super ugly shoulder, another shoulder, right? Testing this line right here. Let's just take a look at Fibonacci. The 38.2 or even the 50, 1.34 long-term target. Looks very doable. It looks very, very doable, especially that weekly RSI. So we have two possible inverted head and shoulders forming, right? Maybe it's a stretch on pound dollar, but let's go back in time to the dollar index. Which, you know, just to show you this huge sell-off that happened today. This is pretty big. This is pretty big. So here we are at 97. Now we're testing this 94.5 support. If we get back below 94 here, it's going to be a weak dollar, that's for sure. So, but what I wanted to point out was going back in time here. Answer that in a second, but so picture none of this was here, right? It would look pretty similar to EURUSD, right? Shoulder, head. Shoulder, head. And dollar index. Now it's a little more over a bigger period of time with the dollar index, but see, we have this big downtrend, right? And we have a crossing uptrend. And then we had a breakout. And we had our head, shoulder, shoulder. Inverted head and shoulders across the board. And just one more, right? So this, it's crazy. I'm just seeing these everywhere, but they're happening. Is let's go to crude. So does this look familiar? This like super huge sell-off, right? It was on a much bigger, faster scale for oil, but huge sell-off, divergent RSI, and now we've already broken out. And this is what there's a cross trend line here, right? And now look where we are. And this is my play on oil. I've been go back for the past 3 weeks. I've been talking about this. inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? And so the big thing here is you want to start to read your charts from left to right instead of what's going on here, going right to left. Well, that's everything that has happened, right? So start thinking of it like that. What we want to do is we want to start to see where it's going, and then things start to unfold a little bit better. We start to use our tools like our trend lines, our support and resistance, Fibonacci, all this stuff I teach in my training course too. So super exciting stuff. And let's go over one more signal trade that I did today. And pound yen. This is kind of the opposite. We have our trend line break here. So if we see, if we see pound dollar really break out here, we might, this might not last long for the dollar yen, or yeah, pound yen. But as long as we stay under this trend line here, and you can see how I did that, right? Now we have this zone. Well, this is over with. Now what are we creating here is the question. And so what I'll do is check out at this Fibonacci level here. Looks like we might get a bounce, but a really solid downside target. And that would be way long term, depending on maybe if the S&P drops tomorrow, which will bring some yen strength in and some risk off action. Oh, sorry. It's like 10:15 here, and I've been up for a while. So if we get some risk off action, that is strengthen yen, Swiss franc. Gold is starting to make a good run right now. So as long as we stay under here and in this quadrant, I think this downside target's a good bet. Now, and you can see our trade from earlier. This is our entry point. And we had a bit of retest of this support resistance level. And then just all out breakdown here. So looking like a good trade. So that being said, I hope that helps you all. And just learning to point out these, start to really see these patterns, the structures. The big thing is if we get this euro trade, if it really breaks out and starts to rally hard, this is going to be an excellent thing to just make a game plan the next 2-3 weeks. I'm just going to look at euro dollar, I'm going to look at pound dollar, and start to try to buy dips here. Because if we still get this dollar weakness, this is going to be a good play riding all the way up this trend line. So hope you found this video helpful, and feel free to message me on Telegram or in my VIP group. And thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Peace.